than from the future in that previous game. So there's 1 kill point dividing those two teams. And E-Arena have shot up to 3rd place, overtaking Xiao Jidui and Expendables off the back of their second chicken dinner. They're on 73 kill points.
Yeah, so looking very, very solid indeed across the board, as we do see this playing path operate from the southeastern side of the map all the way across to the northwest. So probably a pretty much perfect playing path there for these teams. They're all going to be able to get to their designated drop spots and locations relatively easy. And, well, this has set things up very nicely now that E-Arena have put a bit of a spanner in the works by throwing that second chicken dinner on the board. And I'm not going to lie to you, Imperium, your prediction is starting. You know what, my friend? It's actually starting to look like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. It's great. That's a fantastic bluff of being a commentator sometimes, is that sometimes things go your way and you actually look intelligent. But yeah, I'm really happy to see the evolution of E-Arena across this tournament so far, and they definitely deserve that second chicken dinner, of course. Made in Thailand, we're in an opportunity when we were in that previous game of grabbing a win. It didn't work out for them, but I think they've made big improvements compared to yesterday's lackluster 4 games and are looking a lot stronger across the board. While the Expendables now going to start joining back up and get looting in towards this area of the map.
Yeah, we are going to head into pretty much the early stages of this game here, as these not much in terms of contention early on as we look at the drop spots. Los Leones, no surprise that the likes of Fury are over there. We see them and DK sort of fight off a few times off spawn here throughout the board. Every time we've seen the map Miramar, you've got, other than that, a lot of the teams are quite heavily split out and occupying their own area in E-Arena, operating that lovely split that we've seen them often do off of the plane drops so early on. And, well, that phase looks like it shifted over towards the east.
Yeah, it is on towards the northeastern side. And I think the majority of these Miramar circles have been on the eastern side of the map. This is clearly a lot easier compared to the first Miramar game of the day, because it is pretty much all mainland. Just a teeny tiny percentage of that area is in the water, but for the most part, I'm looking at El Azhar Hills as kind of a real good point to hold on to. You got the Minas Generales. Northern Hills Junkyard is also a really good spot to hold on to on this phase on, albeit it is quite deep inside the circle, so going there early you could end up getting pinched up. So something to think about, as Kingslayers has no idea that Niall from Team Extraordinaire is there. The shots come out, the knock is executed.
Yeah, pretty standard stuff there from Niall. Was a good XP, unfortunately. Is going to be forced to sit this one out early on, as he's one of the first few players in the lobby to drop out of the game. And, well, for them two teams, they're towards the bottom of the leaderboards anyway. I don't think they're looking in the best of spots, really, to try and pick up any chicken dinners anyway, so not too much to worry about. But the side of DK, how many times have we seen Zaichu in particular do this? He really likes to try and take early on isolated 1v1s.
It's that kind of solo push. Has to be carefully executed. There's very little cover. There's 0 cover in between the hay bale and the side of that building. So the timing is going to be absolutely impeccable if you're going to pull off that 1v1. The good thing is that, oh, there you go. He's going to push in, use the fact that the vehicle is being utilized by Icon DKS. But he has absolutely no idea. Stabbed in the back. Knocked out, confirmed. And Zaishu says, I see you, goodbye to you.
Yeah, Icon been caught with his pants down ever so slightly there, as again we see the isolated 1v1s come into favour of DK quite a few times.
Absolutely brilliant. It's just something you love to see, and Zaishu has proven that he can be a little bit of a master with those 1v1s. Division X now starting to make their way through this map and get a bit of a starting point as IQ 500, looking for the 500 IQ position.
Yeah, that's a fantastic play there from Zyke. We see it a few times, right, from the DK, sorry. They're a team that like to take those isolated 1v1s, and it seems to have worked and paid dividend this time, but made in Thailand, they're a team that do like to get the early rotations going in, and within 4 or 5 minutes here, they've started to get their Hot Wheels rolling and get over towards where they want to try and set up. And
Hot Wheels. Did you play with Hot Wheels when
I
you
used
were
to.
younger, man?
I know. I'm a very young esports caster at the age of 23. But Hot Wheels, Tech Decks, you name it, we had them all.
Oh, Tech Decks! Oh, dude, I remember collecting Tech Decks.
I think
God.
I'm probably the only skater boy in terms of dress sense that the only skateboard I can drive or ride is a Tech Deck.
Oh, man. Dude, like, oh, could you do actual tricks with them?
Yeah, I used to be able to like ollie with it and kickflip and stuff with a Tech Deck. Like,
Legend.
I remember
Legend.
when my uncle first got Tech Decks, like he taught me and he was absolutely nuts. And I was like, I aspire to be this talented, but I never was. So I thought, why not talk over video games instead?
Oh man, the nostalgia is real. It's just like it's shot to the veins, right? For me, I'm like, that good old nostalgia. I love it when you were young and things were so much more innocent and you had less worries, less stress, less responsibility, and yeah, man, those are the good days. Those are the good days.
Indeed, now I get the majority of my stress from online games like Pubg, but well, a bit of stress for the side of Bao Nam as God Ace is gonna fall early on. It was Broken Hearts who finds that, and you know what? We mention all the time that splitting early on is quite important. As Zest fans, a fantastic headshot there onto Broken Hearts, but I think what Bao Nam do is they oversplit too much, and they get isolated in 1v1s or 2v2s or even 2v4s, and I feel like the side of Bao Nam need to just go back to basics and maybe play a little bit more like a team at the moment, as well, they are going to lose one player early on, even though the knock for knock comes through.
Yeah, and even like their IGL still being on Picado Hill makes kind of zero sense in my eyes overall, and he is the IGL, so if anything, he should be wanting to extend scouting forward. Zest does take a couple shots towards from the future up toward the side of the hill, and why would you? Yeah, I'm. That is really weird play from Bao Nam, like really weird. Really, really weird. I don't really have any words to describe what they're doing because it is so far out from strong competitive playing that, yeah, it really surprised me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe we mentioned and coming into this, right, them and the likes of Fury, they're already playing in PGC. They might try to play a little bit of a different style of play and try a few new things, but it's clearly not working here against, not to discredit any of these teams here, but they're obviously not the best of the best in the world just because they're not playing in PGC, for example. But it's clearly not working against the likes of these teams. So what would make them think it's going to work against some of the bigger names in the PUBG industry? But listen, you live and you learn, and unfortunately for them, they got a lot more learning to do.
Yeah, 110%. 110%. They do still have two players up, but Simon T does look to be pushing a little bit more on his own. His teammate Young Boy is inside Minas Generalis, so he's in no real position to provide massive support. But as he looks to maybe edge close to the sea, that cover might be there. Simon T does back off just a little bit. Teams are starting to converge in. Division X Gaming has a lovely spread, but it's a big spread considering where they are, because they have one near that kind of North El Azhar Hill, one in Junkyard, and then kind of two are a little bit closer by on that more eastern side of the map. I appreciate it, but right now they have Myth are kind of splitting that 2-2 in a big way, so I would like to see them, especially as Phase 1 is closing in quite soon, think about really where they want to go on Phase 2, execute that rotation quickly, and get a little bit closer together.
Yeah, well, we are going to see that Phase 2 pop in just around 20 odd seconds time, and then we'll start to see a bit of a better sort of read on the game as to where this zone might start to centre towards us. Still a lot of open land to play with. Simon T, though, looks like he's going to try and engage the squad from the future over towards this compounders. I mean, is it one of those things where they're trying to practice like sort of clutch situations in like 1v3, 1v2s? Maybe that's what they're trying to do. It looks certainly looks that way, which you can't sort of can't flame or disagree with what they want to do and get that practice in. But well, there's Phase 2. It has shifted over towards the eastern side. Impala and Lebanita, both just inside of the zone. You've got Junkyard up towards the northern side as well. But you look at the likes of the Arena, for example. They're set up in a very, very nice spot over towards this sort of ridge mountain area on the coastline and operating that road.
Yeah, and that's where Division X's split was pretty healthy, but they do need to be aware that right now it's 2-2, and two of their players, Neil and G. Gakan, are much further away. So you don't want to over-engage this fight against BBA. You do want to pick off a couple of shots, so you suppress them a little bit. Don't overextend yourselves for the time being. Colony came in from behind. They came through El Azahar, so they were able to obviously take a couple of shots towards the two players of Division X disengaging away. But again, I respect that from Division X. Seems like they know what they want to do, where they wanted to go, and that phase 2 is going to favor them.
Yeah, but the XG, one of the teams we mentioned that started off so well, our first ever winners in terms of chicken dinners in the event, but since then started to slow the pace down. But they are set up in a very nice spot here in terms of making themselves potentially look for the second. As these zones start to move on, though, are you looking at those teams that are sort of hugging the edge of the blue to try and make an impact late on? Because that's a theme that we've seen be quite successful so far. Obviously, Arena last game it was very successful on. You know, even the game before, which from the future one, we saw like a late sort of rotate out from hugging the back of the blue as the blue come in. You know, we mentioned that us as casters and analysts time and time again, try and rotate, get yourself set up relatively early. But so far, it seems like that late rotation has somewhat paid off most of the time.
It's if a late rotation is executed based on information gathered throughout that circle, yes, it's perfect. But the late rotation that doesn't work out is the late rotation that comes in without any information and is a little bit more direct. If that late rotation is a tiny bit variable in terms of like you're hugging a bit more of the edge, that can work out because you're able to divert away and you're only maybe being put under risk by one team, maximum two teams on that late rotation. So it's all about the timing, where it is in the map, and how confident you are based on the information of pulling that off. I really like SGD's position. It's a bit of an early commitment on phase 2, but it's by that roadside where you have a big deep either side. It's essentially like a main road valley, where you're able to peek up and shoot. Again, phase 2 is a bit of an early circle to commit to it, but I do appreciate it.
Yeah, it's the whole saying of like high risk comes high reward, right? As it looks like it's got SGD are going to try and set up there slightly early, but well, there you go. It looks like it has somewhat paid off as that shift comes in, and they're still very much set up relatively nicely. I'm looking at the squads of Made in Thailand though, and even PMA, who I've got to say, you know what, PMA, they've somewhat impressed me over the past day or so. They seem to have got their rotations and set up points relatively well. They've got a nice sort of dip in a ridge line to work with on that mountain just at the bottom of Made in Thailand. So very impressive stuff from them. And well, for the side of SGD, they spot the leaks of Kingslayer, and they want to try and pick up a few more kills.
I think everybody in this lobby, every one of these teams have improved and adapted in a good way against each other, to the point where there's a little bit less consistency now on what teams we're seeing in the top 4, top 5 of each game, right? And that's what makes this tournament so exciting, and a 6-day tournament more exciting, more so than, let's say, a 2 or 3 day tournament, right? Because you see that evolution on board. DK Zaishu, you see him pulling on his own. He's going to go into the arms of Kingslayer, but he is supported by the rest of his team, and that's where Jason has to back away. Not today. Sexy Lady comes in from behind, gets a knock on the Xiaoxi, and that's going to be absolutely beautiful for Kingslayer.
Yeah, he's going to beat DK. Can't fight fire with fire, unfortunately, as Saichu just falls short in the last engagement as, well, Jagger's going to pick that up. The 2 revives that should come through, or will they? They don't as well. It's going to be your kicker, my cows. He finds one shit and it's going to be knocked to the hands of Irenic, and, well, for the side of NRX, they can't get too aggressive here as they are just on the outskirts of
Well,
that zone. But as I say that, they're going to be getting laid down shots from both SGD and E-Arena.
yes, but I will give credit to NRX because they normally on phase 3 will like full send it into the kind of middle of the circle somewhat blindly, whereas at least they are playing on that more edge of circle position, which is obviously more variable. They can rotate to that southern edge if they want to from where they are in Impala. So I do respect that change from them across the board as PMA are trying to deal with Xiaoji Dui, but that isn't going to be the case despite it not being executed. Dreams is returned on very quickly.
Yeah, but the HP advantage, oh, what a nade that is as well
Beautiful.
by Namshao to drop Shen, and Upshen drops to Pete as well, and it's all up to Jervis to the side of SGD as he's got the duo of Botany and Pete to try and contest with. But oh, look at this from Colony. Does that look, I think, is it Momonji? It looked like he was going to go for a crash over towards the side of PMA and SGD here, and I'm surprised we've not seen a team try and take this compound area off of them. Surely they got to be counting how many players are left alive for either side here, and this could be sort of 3 pickings for them, but a little too late as well. Botany finds the kill onto Teddy and Jervis. They're going to drop, and PMA, they live to see another Daydream, should be revived. And for the side of PMA, I mentioned I like the way they're playing at the moment, and they seem to be playing quite confidently.
Yeah, but look at this from NRX. Nicel coming in, kind of, you know, doing a bit of scouting. Now the rest of the team are going to follow suit from Impala. So it's kind of like adoption, this adaptability from NRX is exciting to see. We're looking in towards Fury, who are on that eastern side near the compound that is very nicely positioned inside this phase 3. A couple of shots from Colony and E-Arena on towards NRX, but luckily for them, even though they only started as a 3-person team, they are all still alive. Team Extraordinaire, they're going for Kingslayers.
Yep, like this a lot. They needed to try and isolate a few players and take hold of the compounds, and well, it looks like the squad of Kingslayer might be the ones that pay the price, but they can't forget though they have got the side of Team Bliss over who find 1, find 2, and it's gonna be Monty and his duo trying to find a few more kills, and what looked like a good crash and aggressive standpoint from the side of Team Extraordinaire is all falling apart as well. The side of Bliss, they had some other ideas.
Yeah, Kingslayer, I can appreciate them pushing in, but that kind of third party more than anything is what can massively hurt is Division X come in to try and battle in towards the eastern edge of the circle. You have BBA, Bad Boy Alliance rocking it up. PMA coming in on towards the fold, but that is beautiful. IQ 500 play to finish E-Arena off, the winners of the previous game. They go down, they're bowed out in 14th.
Yep, disappointment from them, you'd probably say, as they wanted to try and come into this one with a little bit more confidence flowing. There is 2 players from... Oh, that nade should finish them both off, surely. Oh, well, there you go. It's going to be 1. The second nade surely finishes the other player off, and it does. That's great.
Yeah.
Great util usage out of IQ 500. Living up to his name, some would say, as he finds the double kill with the nades. But unfortunately for him, no, he is left alive on his own.
And if you look, he was very close to going for the revive onto Neil. But he knew, wait, they're getting the revive themselves. I'm going to be stuck in the shack. A simple Molotov, we're both dead. I need to go for these kills. It's not that kind of Hail Mary, I'm going to win the gameplay, but it is surviving, grabbing more kills today. That was really good for Division X.
Yep, but what's great for right now is the side of Fury is they've dropped 2, make it 3 players from the side of the Expendables, and well, that's going to be them bowed out, and 6 kills on the board for Fury. They're looking good here as we take a little look at where our phases have started to move towards, and Bliss looking very comfortable in their compound that they're set up in. Myth just got slightly edged their way in as well, and for Fury, they might be the team that come up and start to play that slower pace style of play, edging in slightly later.
They can go for that road position, right? That position that I talked about, which is viable. I questioned it on phase 2 from Xiaoji Dui, and they moved away from it on the next circle shifting up, but it is the kind of position where you can play. NRX Nicel is going to be taking out PMA, dealing with them absolutely wonderfully, but the IQ 500 movement, that backstab is possible.
Yep, very, very possible. We'll have to wait and see how it starts to play out here as we are into phase number 5 or so seconds before that blue starts to force these players that ever much so closer together. Well, a relic is going to fall to the hands of Pete. Jagger drops as well, so 2 more teams eliminated. We're down to our 7 remaining teams, 22 alive here, and you got to be looking at the likes of Team Bliss, Myth, Fury with the heavy numbers advantage available. Just a duo for Baonam left for them, and how are these teams going to be going about playing this next phase here? Because although we've still got quite a big phase, there is a lot of open ground, especially in that northeastern side.
It's very flat terrain, and you got the volatility of either very hard cover or very small, low cover, which holds a lot of risks. And if you haven't got a lot of vehicles to play with, it can be quite tricky. Right now, the 3 teams in the best position are the Team Extraordinaire, Team Bliss, and Myth. Fury aren't looking too bad because they have a couple of people inside the circle already, and they're able to do a decent bit of damage from the western side. Baonam bow out. They're going to be picked off quite nicely. 6 teams, they have 20 players.
Yeah, well, we do see one knock come through from Fury. You mentioned, are they going to try and play that backstabber type of role? And it looks like they were, as one of the players from PMA are going to have that elimination come through. They're down to 2 remaining people, and okay, it looks like Made in Thailand. For a second, I thought after Jacob tagged that player up, he was going to try and go for a bit of an aggressive standpoint towards him. Elects to just reposition that vehicle. And what the side of Made in Thailand, they're in a very good spot here. I think it will come down to in which way that phase starts to shift in around 20 odd seconds time. And I mean, if DXG, PMA, 1 or so players left alive, you're not looking in the best of situations right now. So this whole eastern side of the phase here, this is very much open up for grabs.
Dead. Yeah, no, it's dead though, because like you look at Myth got a knock on the PMA. That's from the north to the southeast, right? That's how flat and barren that land is on the eastern side, which is why it's so volatile for Division X and PMA to try to enter. The fact that it's shifted over towards the southwest is actually quite good for them, because they're going to be less focused, that area of the map on the eastern side. Plus Myth need to think about where we want to go and how we need to enter this circle. Team Bliss do have a 2-2 spread, but 2 are inside the circle, 2 are outside the circle.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit hard here for the side of both Team Bliss and Myth. I think they're going to get caught in somewhat of a team fight eventually, and I think if you're the side of Myth, you've got to try and deal with those 2 Bliss players on just the outside of the zone and then try and work your way in from there. But Team Fury, though, the fact that that zone has started to move towards the southwest, you mentioned that you could sort of play in that dip towards the bottom of the road as well, and that looks like what they might potentially be trying to do. But here we go. We mentioned I would like to see the fact that Team Made in Thailand try and push over towards Team Bliss and find a few kills if possible. And it looks like it's, yeah, I like that a lot. But Esquilija is going to get tagged up heavily. Rain falls, but Floods... Oh, he's actually put a molly on his teammate. He's put a molly on his teammate, and somehow Monty finds the kill onto Thanawat as well. Jacob drops. And the side of Made in Thailand nearly the catalysts of their own downfall.
But they haven't had any players confirmed up, and they did close out those 2 players at Team Bliss. So in my eyes, that's a successful push. They're not in the circle, but they've whittled Team Bliss down to 2 players. It's exactly the kind of success that they wanted, that they kind of needed to an extent. There was a bit of a cheeky third party, I believe, from Fury down on that southwest side, but Monty and Textile, 2 players left up for the side of Team Bliss. No better man to carry Team Bliss into this late game than Monty. Leader of the pack. His back is sore, but his team are helping him as much as they can, as the Smokes are doing everything they can to allow Myth to enter in to the edge of the circle.
Yeah, not only that, you still got to try and put that revive through as well, which should come through pretty much free of charge. Or, well, as I say, that Duckman's is going to be dropped. And for the side of Fury here, you're looking at yourselves to be the annoying team that are just laying shots down from a distance, and well, Flood's doing just that. I know what drops as well, and what was a fantastic push onto those two players to try and isolate them from the side of Myth. I think they've been caught in a bit of a crossfire here between Fury and Team Bliss, and well, they've just dropped down to 2 remaining players as well. But Team Extraordinaire and Fury are both looking wonderful.
Perfect.
The wipe comes through from Made in Thailand, but I would like to have seen that a little bit quicker.
But it was tough because they were also getting third-partied by Fury. Honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better, more successful push across the board for Myth, because they took out 2 players and kept themselves up as a full squad of Team Bliss. Therefore, they had that 4v2. They could technically afford to lose 2 players. They had the smoke wall created across the road. Yes, Stuckman's was maybe a little bit aggressive on his positioning and ended up getting knocked. But after that, it was only one other player that went down, and considering Fury were third party, honestly, that was pretty incredible by Myth. Pretty.
Yeah, Fury now going to turn their attentions to the solo player of PMA. That is Botany. Should be a relatively easy closeout on that kill, as well as we have our 5 remaining teams left alive in our penultimate game of the day. And well, for the side of Fury, I don't want to say it again, but they're in a great spot here to try and put that first
Don't
chicken
say it, man.
dinner
Don't say it,
on
man. Don't say
the
it,
board.
man.
But they have got, though, you've got to mention, they have got Team Extraordinaire in a great spot set up already, very much with inside that phase already. Jacob is going to fall from Myth, and it's all up to that solo player for Myth.
I'm a little bit... Actually, no, I don't know if they can play the side of the road, actually. I don't know if they can hug the very side of that road and actually go closer to Team Extraordinaire. But maybe they were worried about being third-party by Myth if they did go closer to the side of that road. Playing those kind of hay bale stacks is overall the easier option. It is a little bit more short-term. You can see that there's the dilapidated truck that's by the side of the road, but that's barely hard cover. And again, that's within the sight lines of Myth. So I appreciate why Fury aren't going to the side of the road.
Yeah, I think so far they've played this very much so good. It is a 4v4 versus 1, the solo player of SQ Louisa left alive for Made in Thailand. But I think here you are looking at the squad of Team Extraordinaire to probably have a slight advantage over Fury right now. But again, we are going to see that phase start to shift for the final time to phase 8. And, well, oh, that's very interesting. That is very interesting. So that more kicks Team Extraordinaire in the face for sure, because they have to cross the road, and you've got Esquilegia, who is more likely to probably help Fury than help Team Extraordinaire. But you can see with the smokes being thrown out by Fury, they do want to get a bit of an early anchor point into the edge of the circle against Team Extraordinaire. They have a vehicle to play with, and they're certainly taking advantage of it. Yeah, I'm not too sure if Team Extraordinaire have got a vehicle to work with on their own, but the 2 players from Fury do get behind that hay barrel, I believe, and well, this is just a battle in the long grasses.
They didn't deal with Esquilegia. You gotta know that he was there. I don't know why you went so deep into the circle like that.
Well, you mentioned Esquilegia might have helped out Fury slightly more than Team Extraordinaire. It looks like it's the other way around, and it's a familiar story for the side of
beautiful by Extraordinaire.
Fury. And already, as soon as this is what we've seen a lot of, right? As soon as those knocks come through, instantly we see the collapse from the team with a numbers advantage to try and initiate that third party, or try and get that gap between the 2 teams very much more, closer. And as though Papachulo does drop him, it's a 4 versus 2, and you got to say, Team Extraordinaire, it's theirs to lose.
Got so much I'm going to want to break down, but there's great reaction from Team Extraordinaire. It is 2v4, and Fury just not able to find a moment to close out this game, and it seems like their blue zone and their backs are massively against the wall of Team Extraordinaire.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for them as well. Papachulo finds the first onto Insight. It's all up to Flood, and well, that's that. And for the side of Team Extraordinaire, they're going to put their first chicken dinner on the board, and Fury How many times that now? 3 chicken dinners they've lost in 1v1s, I think, or in the top 3 situation, and it's heartbreak for them. And you've got to say they've got to start getting it right sooner rather than later as well. For the side of Extraordinaire, they're going to be very happy. They put the chicken dinner on the board, and a very, very impressive and controlled win at that.
It was good by Team Extraordinaire because they did have a couple of teams crash on them, right? I believe kind of the majority of Division X, they had Kingslayers as well, so they did have to do a lot to protect their compound. A little bit of circle look kept them in there for an extremely long period of time, and in the end they took advantage of Fury's decision, I'll call it, and wrapped around on towards the underside and took advantage of the body advantage. Keep an eye on the kill feed, was so imperative to Team Extraordinaire grabbing a hold of that end game. For Fury's point of view, I understood why they created a bit of a smoke wall and sent that vehicle across. However, don't send 2 people there. You know that risk is there, right? They knew that Escalesia was there, right? I think that's a big part of the reason why they didn't move across the road, because there was that angle that Myth, or whether as 1 player or 2 player, had onto their side, right? So if you're going to send a player out with a vehicle and you know that he's around there, with then 2 teams looking in your direction, that makes it so much harder for those 2 players to survive, and you're just splitting your team far too much. Whereas if it was just 1 player, at least you would have had 3 players around there to stop Team Extraordinaire. And I'm pretty damn sure that Team Extraordinaire wouldn't have been so aggressive moving across the road if it was just 1 Fury player that got taken out.
Yeah, and I think, you mentioned that solo player, right, from Made in Thailand, and one of the points she made is it probably will end up helping Fury more so than the team of Extraordinaire. It didn't unfortunately do that, as the rotation of 2 players just opens up the path for a kill for that solo player from Made in Thailand, and that results, of course, into the damage very much being done here. But this was a good team fight we saw between the side of SGD and PMA. PMA coming out just slightly on top of that, and I've been a little bit disappointed with SGD so far today. I feel like they've dropped out slightly sooner.
They have.
Than they expected to, and I don't know. They just feel. I feel like they've got a little bit complacent, if you ask me.
I don't want to call it complacent, because let's be fair. Despite them having 2 chicken dinners, they were, especially compared to the likes of Team Bliss and maybe E-Arena, they were a lot more volatile with their results. They would go from 16th in 1 game to either a win or a top 3 in another game to, again, a top 16. And part of that was initially down to them having those team fights in Pubg with doubles, but still they have proven to be kind of volatile, which isn't a bad thing for chicken dinner rule, but it's more the fact that they have stopped trying to adapt to the rest of the lobby in a stronger way, and other teams are getting better and learning how to counter the likes of Xiaoji Dui in these team fights, in these circles, and they're getting drowned out because of those poor rotations.
Yeah, poor rotations indeed, and we mentioned sometimes those split-second decisions, and this here from Made in Thailand, nearly the catalyst of their downfalls. Tamori comes through and knocks 2 of his own teammates, but fortunately, strength in numbers are very much there, and that was a team of Bliss who unfortunately ended up falling. And, well, that win for the side of Team Extraordinaire will no doubt shake things up in terms of the standings.
Yes.
Once again, as we head into our last game here now, Imperium, what team is it that you're really looking out for, really looking forward to seeing if whether or not they can pick another chicken dinner up? Because if it's me, I think right now, if you're the side of Fury, Baonam, etc., you have to win one of these next games. You have to win this last game.
Yeah,
if not, you're pretty much saying to yourself, you've got to win 4 out of the 8 remaining games, which is going to be very, very hard to do. However, if you're the side of Bliss or SGD, I'm going to bank on one of those 2 within the next game.
Yeah, definitely for Fury, Baonam, and to an extent kind of PMA, they do need to win a game, 110%. But in terms of to win another game, I definitely put it on Bliss, or even From the Future. They're the 2 teams that have looked kind of strongest overall across the last couple of days, and you can see that right now they're sharing the lead. The exact same chicken dinners, the exact same kills. Bliss just being on top for now.
Team Extraordinaire, though, jumps up into 7th spot with that chicken dinner, 55 kills on the
12th,
board
by the way,
as well.
that.
Yeah, that's a very solid performance from them. Gotta say, huge shout out to them. But any of these top 9 teams right now, if they can put a chicken dinner on the board, which let's face it, all right, odds are in their favor, right? It's very unlikely we'll see the likes of Kingslayer, DK, NRX, or Bad Boys Alliance win one of these games. So apart from Fury,
exactly.
Bao Nam, and you're probably they're the only 2 teams outside of the teams that have got a chicken dinner already that would probably win this next game. If you're any of these top 9, you're saying we win this game, we're looking great going into the final 8 games.
Yeah, and that's the way we're talking about in terms of, because the lobby has come together in a lot bigger way, where it is a little bit more volatile on who can win, not necessarily who's consistent, but who can win within that consistent manner. It's so much less predictable.
Yeah, definitely less predictable. But let's see if our predictions on one of the top 9s taking home another chicken dinner are right, as we are going to take a short break, guys. But when we're back, me and Imperium, we're going to be jumping into our final game of today. Match number 16 is going to be Erangel. Finally, we are back here once again for the AOC Masters Tournament 2021. Myself and the lovely Imperium will be guiding you through this last game. We're back on to Erangel, and after that, well, I feel like today's been a roller coaster of a day. We've had tech issues, we've had clutch situations, we've had crazy phases, you name it. Today has had a bit of everything, but we're not going to spend too much time talking about the past. Let's talk about the future as we're jumping straight into Erangel.
We are indeed, and so far in today's games, we've had wins from the future, E-Arena and Team Extraordinaire. So let's see if we can end on another extraordinary game in the Hollow Grounds of Erangel. That playing path is pretty damn good, John. It's going from that northeast down to the southwest, pretty much split in the middle. And the question once again is, are the Expendables and Shaoji Dui going to drop on each other in Pachinki?
I mean, I would like to say I hope not, because this is quite an important game in terms of the way things might play out. I mentioned if one of these teams that have already got a chicken dinner can put their second, third, or if not fourth, if you're the likes of Bliss, for example, then you're looking great. But, well, looks like the squad the Expendables and SGD, they don't really care about that. They want to stick to what they know best, and that is fighting straight off spawn. Hopefully, we have just as fast-paced start on this one as we did the last.
2 minutes lasted. Jesus, that's quicker than. Actually, no, I won't go there. I won't go there at all. Gotta keep it PG. But indeed, it was a very quick fight that we saw last time in Erangel. You can see Shen has picked up a shotgun and a Vector. Vector is a half decent early game weapon, but it definitely needs that extended mag to really be powerful in this kind of close range fight.
Yeah, I think especially if you're looking at the likes of trying to fight players with the likes of a helmet armor, for example, as well, it does take a little bit longer to rip through that.
It does.
Than some of the other guns in this situation. But nevertheless, I think in this early phase with how fast-paced we see SGD and the Expendables fight each other the majority of the time, they don't have much armor available anyway. And well, for Duck, he's only got a helmet to work with and the shotgun of that as well. So yeah, these two teams, they love fighting each other off spawn, and I can't understand why.
June on that roof play once again, but like we saw, the team of Xiaoji Dui have definitely adapted that quite nicely. Look at Teddy on top of the roof close by. I think maybe this is something that the Expendables need to be a little bit more adaptable with, right? I understand they want to be on that roof play, but maybe they need to switch up the buildings they do hold onto roof-wise so that they're able to stop themselves getting countered, because right now, they're being massively pinched by a far more proactive and reactive Xiaoji Dui, but of course, an opening knock from the Expendables could shift things massively in their favor.
Yeah, well, I think it's been a little bit flip-floppy and back and forth here in terms of who's had the upper hand in most of these advantages each time.
Fair.
Well, it looks like SGD have got that player advantage thus far, so it's up to this one of the Expendables now, as all three of them in the same building, if not probably the same room as well as the team of SGD here. They're only one, probably they are literally one chicken dinner away from reclaiming top spot. I think they've got 10 or so more kills in that department than the teams just above them from chicken dinners. So if they could have a good last game here, they're setting themselves up to go into our final 2 days worth of play in a relatively good standpoint. But for the side of Expendables, however, only that one chicken dinner on the board, a team that has impressed us, but they just can't seem to finish things off when they need to.
Shotgun blast, Shen close it in, and that's going to be the Expendables eliminated. A little bit slower of a team fight, just shy of the 4-minute mark, but definitely still strong play from Zhao Jidui, and they can use that to their advantage. We haven't really talked about this Phase 1 circle so far. It's on that southwestern side of the map, which is nice because it feels like we were seeing a lot more kind of eastern Phase 1s, or of course the military island circles, which we've had a couple at this stage. So having it towards a Gatka and Quarter region is a little bit of a fresh take to see. Looking at the hill above Ferry Pier, north of Ferry Pier, is a position to really control. The compound just shy north of that hill would also be pretty good. But other than that, it of course is going to create a bit more of a cluster of action and traffic on the eastern side of the map as teams will look to rotate and find a way in.
I think this is one of the first times we've actually seen the phase start to shift over towards this side of the map on
One of the first times,
yeah, I think we might have seen it once more, but it was slightly further up towards the northwestern side, just at the bottom of George Pole. But
we had the chopsticks finish game.
Yeah,
as well.
That was maybe that's the game that I was thinking of, where it started there and made its way down towards chopsticks. But well, for the side of Kingslayer, they have been slain themselves as well. Zaichu and the squad of DK, they seem to reign supreme here, as already two teams dropped out very early on here within the first 5 minutes.
And one difference with DK in this game compared to others is that they fought as a team in that area, right? Compared to other games where they've kind of taken on quite a few kind of 1v1s and they can win them, that kind of team fight early on in the game, I think, is a lot more valuable to their late game result, because not only do they close out that fight quicker, they don't lose anybody, and they can then think about their rotation into the circle 1 to 2 minutes quicker. It's that domino effect that we all love to see in the world of PUBG. The quicker you are, the quicker you can move, the quicker you can react, the more focused you are throughout this whole game.
Yep, one team that definitely needs to start focusing are the squad of Fury, as they're not looking anywhere near the caliber of team that we thought they would do in terms of winning and seeing out the actual games. They've done great in terms of the kill department, but not so much in terms of winning. One team, though, that is just across the road from them that have done is the side of Colony, who, to be honest with you, I've not been overly impressed with them today. I think today's probably been one of their worst days in terms of consistency of play. I think if you think back to the first, second, and even yesterday, they were looking very, very solid, looking very consistently well. They looked like they were constantly placing good, close to winning a few more games. But today, I feel like they've just let their foot off the gas pedal ever so slightly and started to slow down. But in a game like PUBG, one game is all it takes for you to turn around and grab some momentum. So they're definitely going to be a team to look out for in the last few days.
Yeah, for sure. I agree massively. Banam have rotated fairly early in this game, which I think is a little bit better to see coming out for them, especially as a full squad. It's now going to be up to how they spread themselves apart in this phase one. It's in around this chopsticks area that they've gone, and they are dispersing quite heavily, with 2 going over to the Western Hill and 1 to the north chopsticks compound, 2 to kind of the south chopsticks. Sorry, 1 to the south chopsticks compound. I don't mind that spread in phase one. Just based on what we've seen from Baunam, I can't help but feel a little bit agitated and worried about them getting punished in phase 2.
Yeah, and I think it's been the sort of a familiar topic that we spoke about for Baunam, is sometimes that early rotation, and it just kind of cost them ever so slightly. But then again, the whole conversation of the fact that they are probably trying to try out a few things and, trial and error some stuff going into the likes of PGC. It's one of those situations where it's just not gone their way so far in the AOC Masters. But one thing that has gone the way of Colony is the first knock onto that Fury player, Waikika Macau, as the trade does come back through. Monji does eventually fall. Ronan is dropped by a Lepton. Well, the side of Fury and Colony, they look like they want to keep this gunfight going on a little bit longer.
For sure. Man, okay. Myth, I see what you're doing. You currently have 3 in the Pachinki Hill. You have 1 just as Quilicia just sent it into the chopsticks area. Actually, yeah. And now the rest of the players are going to look to try and push a little bit more forward. This fight between Fury and Colony is still raging on for the most part. It does seem to be in the control of Colony, as Killa is going to get absolutely shut down. Oh my lord! The drive-by from Fury. No fear, just fight from inside and flood.
Yeah, this is it's the style of play that I do think suits Fury very well, but this is the flip side to that coin, as if you do drive past, sometimes it can be easier probably to tag you coming out of a car than if you would be to just be normally running across a field, for example. And it's all up to Flood once again for his team. You mentioned that he was leading the way in terms of the kill department, but not going to be leading the way in terms of the health department, as he's very, very low. Another bullet will finish him off. There you go. That's the kill. That's the elimination. The confirmation on Fury. They're not going to win a game, at least within the first 16 of this event, and that just leaves their tournament hopes really in tatters.
Yeah, it kind of does. I don't know whether they should have even headed towards that western bridge. Maybe an eastern bridge would have been a little bit more advisable. Either way, that's for them to converse and talk about and evolve on coming into tomorrow's 4 matches. The phase 2 has gone up towards the northwest, so out of the water, pretty much out of the military island. But there's a lot of open fields in play. Pachinki Hill is still an area for Mitch to try and hold down. Xiaoji, we are going to be rotating around there, taking the fight against Baonan. 2 giants fighting up against each other, but it's Xiaoji that's going to come out on top. Jervis is going to get knocked, but Cester's returned, and Xiaoji, they only have Simon T. Sorry, Baonan, they only have Simon T left up.
Yeah, I think the revive's going to come in from Teddy onto Jervis as well, and that's what you needed for the side of SGD, but that's not what you needed for the side of Baunam. And well, the two top dogs coming into this one, Fury and Baonam, are really, really struggling. And I mean, you just look at Fury, 83 kills, Imperium, but not a single win to their name. And that's the type of situation where you got to say, we've got to be better. We've got to be better than it. Doesn't matter how many kills we get. It doesn't matter how many people we kill in the lobby. If you can't win a game, you can't win the event. And unfortunately, that's the harsh reality of the chicken dinner rule. But SGD, though, they're looking very, very good here. The confidence to obviously take down Baonam in that early engagement.
Really good from Xiaoji Dui. And Baonam, look, it's one of those things where it's unfortunate where two teams rotating at the same time towards the same area from two different directions. But I would argue Baonam weren't in a position where they needed to rotate like that. And they were looking to have a spread in phase one. They could have stayed where two of the players were in around the south of Chopsticks area for phase two and played a little bit more calculatively, whereas they went for a bit of a deeper rotation. I think Xiaoji Dui were rotating a bit better as a full squad together. Obviously got there a little bit earlier and Baonam paid the price. I don't want to put too much criticism towards Baonam in that fight, in that situation, because it's one of those things that can happen, but maybe a little bit more intelligent on whether you should actually rotate in the future could be more beneficial for them.
We'll have to wait and see if they can live and learn from their mistakes going into tomorrow's games. But one team that has actually very impressed me today is from the future. They very, very impressed me today. I think, in particular, the win that they got earlier on in terms of the rotation and the slow play towards the end of the blue. I think they've consistently been inside sort of like the top 6, top 7 today. A few instances where they were probably unfortunate to lose a few players in sort of 3 or 4 way team fights. That game earlier on Miramar, I think it might have been the last game actually that we saw the arena win, where they were set up quite well and there was like a sort of a 3 or 4 party type of engagement between multiple teams and they lost 2 or 3 players. But yeah, definitely been impressed with the squad from the future. Another team that has actually quite swept under the radar in terms of impressing me today is probably made in Thailand as well. I've been quite impressed with them. I think that, you mentioned earlier on that game with Miramar, just saw the collapse and the crash onto the team of Bliss, a very strategical play. They were unfortunate that it was just left to the solo player alive in that last one. But yeah, they're a team today. I thought their position's been quite good in the 2 Miramar games that I saw. The first game on Erangel was quite good. And heading into this one, I would like to see them try and keep up that consistency level of play.
Yeah. They're going to be a little bit hurt by the circle shifting down south towards kind of the Ferry Pier coastal line, that hill above Ferry Pier, which I said was absolutely a strong area to hold down in phase 1, is going to be a little bit similar. E-Arena not opting for the hillside, but they are in that compound to the north of the hill, which to an extent makes sense because you get a little bit more information and comfort around the 4 walls of those buildings and more info towards the open fields overall, and you're more likely able to punish teams around you, a little bit like DK or punishing PMA.
Yeah, punishing them indeed. And PMA, I thought they had quite a good start to the day, but the past 2 games not seem to have gone their way. And well, DK, they've been quite ruthless here in this final game on Erangel. As soon as they see one player and they spot any sort of mistake from the squad, they try to engage it quickly. And well, for the side of PMA, they're stuck towards this solo shack. It's only going to result in one thing, and that's multiple nades on top of them. But Dreamslow does find Side Chew and Mastodon trying to find some shots through the smoke. Simon T there, though, the last player from Baonam's going to pick up a bit of a kill still and put another kill on the board for himself. I don't think these revives will come through, or at least one did. And for the side of DK, what should have been pretty much a clean execute and push onto the side of PMA's kind of cost them a player or so, but they do find Simon T for their worries.
Yeah, I don't know why Saishu pushed on his own like that. I understand why he wanted to, but there's still that level of not so much information for your side. It's a nice shots by Myth. Their rotation, by the way, from Pachinki Hill to the kind of eastern edge of that hill just to the south of E-Arena is absolutely spot on. Like, you know, chef's kiss worthy. A little bit standard, but still chef's kiss worthy rotation for Myth, and it's part of what has made them such a strong team overall. And the fact that they're doing these things as kind of like somewhat as a full squad is just giant to see. Well, Macedon, he may be the last player up, but he's going for a Hail Mary play on yeah, mate.
Yep, and now when you try to fight fire with fire, you often get burnt, and that's what happened as Jacob cleans up the kill onto him. And well, for DK, they're going to be bowing out here in around 10th spot, I think, or 11th spot. But, oh my god, Calbs finds one, finds two, the third there as well. That's beautiful pop shot from Calbs. That's probably one of the cleanest 3Ks in PUBG I've ever seen. He finds the first, peeks back out, swings, finds the second, knows where the third is, and rips his head off. And well, for the side of Colony, that's not a bad engagement as well. It's a 4-for-2 trade, but they would be a little bit disappointed that they didn't keep a few more players up and running as well. Jesus. But still, that's Calbs. A huge wipe just off Cal's back.
Like, I'm wondering why Xiaoji Dui went there. I understand why Colony did, because they were being put under quite a bit of pressure from a bit of distance from Team Bliss, and they were dispersed. They were already down a player, so their safety as a rotation was definitely that Fairy Pier compound. But Xiao Ji Dui were still up as a full squad. They rotated as a full squad onto that Fairy Pier hill, and I didn't notice them being put under major pressure by Team Bliss, unless I missed something. But I don't know why they went down to those Fairy Pier buildings. I really don't think they needed to go there.
Yep, little mistakes caused costly as Calbs had other ideas and wanted to pick up 3 of his own and say, hey, you know what? I've not picked up a few kills in a few moments. Let me grab 3 just here. And well, speaking of a few kills, Papachulo's going to find 2 onto YQQ and Broken Hearts as they always up to him and Trick. Left alive for the side of Team Extraordinaire. And well, after doing the damage to From the Future, no doubt Hikaru and Man are going to want to try and revenge and keep their fallen teammates' legacy going on into the rest of this game. But the smokes should be just enough cover for the team of Team Extraordinaire to get out of this one. And as we're going to be moving into that next phase soon here, we're going to start to see these rotations set up.
My only logic behind, you know, Xiaoji going there is because they thought maybe somebody was already going to be in that kind of artillery bunker area where Bad Boy Lines are now. But there's nobody there at that point, so maybe they just thought somebody's already going to be there. It's too much of a risk to send it in that direction. Let's go down to Fairy Pier. So I'm trying to give Xiaoji the benefit of the doubt, but I don't think it was still only phase 3, phase 4. They didn't need to go for that, you know, more of a Hail Mary commitment, whether it's outside of the circle or near the edge of the circle, as we thought. But either way, Team Extraordinaire go down. E-Arena have absolutely fantastic control of this circle. It's like they're kind of working, you know, unverbally with Myth of like, look, we'll avoid each other for now. You hold the hill, we'll hold the compound. We'll take the teams out around us, and then we can have our own little fight to the end. You know, it's that kind of like mutual, unwritten, unworded agreement between the two teams, because right now it doesn't make sense for E-Arena to really be looking in the direction of Myth and vice versa.
Yeah, I feel like it's some sort of telepathic agreement, an unwritten rule of any battle royale, that if you're like, okay, I know where you are, you know where we are, it doesn't make sense for us to, I'm going to use that word grief again, grief each other's games, let's just try and wait and play the end phase out ever so slightly. But sometimes teams just don't seem to be on the same wavelength in the agreement. But, well, for the side of Myth and E-Arena, hopefully they do just tend to keep things ticking over into the next few phases. As for the side of Colony, the duo, or should I say, of Calbs and Killer, going to try and see if they can deal with the duo of BBA as well. Andy has been spotted by that nade, going to get tagged up as well as his head just peeking over the top of the ridge. And for the side of Colony, you got to be saying, a little bit disappointed. I mentioned they're a team coming to this last game that you'd probably want to try and right their wrongs from the earlier games. Doesn't look like they're going to do that, but for Thano, Watt's going to throw the nade towards Irenic. Surely if he pops this nade here, he finds the kill. Probably one of the easiest kills ever, as I say.
Oh, no, too far away.
That nade has flown straight down past the car. He's got a nade on his feet as well. And just these players just can't seem to throw grenades right now.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake from Thanawat, but one thing I love about Ironic, instead of throwing a nade right beside him, he actually threw an offensive nade towards Thanawat to reposition Thanawat to the point where his nade might be a little bit slower or he might get shot up by another player from behind. It's something so simple, but it was a very big brain play from Ironic.
It does work out in his favor as the Arena's going to find the kill. It's going to be a headshot from Andy. Well, sorry, it's a headshot onto Andy from Calbs. Calbs is shooting fantastically well right now as it's all up to Astro Boy. Left alive for Bad Boy Alliance. That, well, things right now just seem to not be going well for Bad Boy Alliance. They were a team that actually impressed me in the last game on Erangel, when it was sort of that military ending, like the game that we saw we didn't see the winner of, but couldn't close it out. I think for Bad Boy Alliance, I think they've just come up here in this event against just some slightly better teams, and well, that's going to be Killer, who finds the 10th kill as well for the squad of Colony, and that's just for a duo as well. These guys are fragging out.
Like, what I loved about Killa and Calbs in that moment was they went for that V formation. That does come with a lot of risks, right? You got to coordinate that attack in the perfect way, and it just shows that the duo are really looking good communication-wise by executing that in a massive way. And they have all of that kind of southwest side to themselves. NRX are on the south edge, and they're in a bit of a line, but they're way more focused on the side of Team Myth as we are coming into this next circle. The Arena's compound is still in play. Team Bliss moved out of that compound on the west, and they have found a bit of a 3-1 spread. Let's hope the circle stays in their favor. No, it doesn't. It goes right into the arms of the Arena.
Right into the arms of the Arena, indeed. And, well, they're looking very, very comfy here to try and put what would be, I think, is it their third win on the board that they're looking at now? Their third chicken dinner. And, well, that would catapult them to the top of the standings, as it would be, because they'd have a lot more, 11 more kills than the team is top spot right now from the future. And for the side, though, let's not forget Team Bliss. They're there lingering as well, still with 4 players alive. They are slightly further towards the southwest and got a little bit more ground to make up as the squad of NRX. They're probably going to bow out here as it's all up to Nicel after Jacob does find a few kills. And, well, yeah, for the side of the Arena, I don't think you could have asked for a better zone.
Yeah, of course, they've been there since I believe kind of phase 2. It's a bit of a 2-2 split initially, and they haven't had to move at all. Duckman does go down, so that's a bit of a loss for Myth, but they still have 3 players strong and they're looking good. They will have to move into the circle from the south. Colony pushing back the members of Team Bliss. Brain is knocked down on his knees. Killa and Calbs, man, they are just like a thorn in the side, pun intended by the way, on these teams around them. They're stinging them left, right and center.
Yeah, definitely being that annoying role that we tend to talk about all the time, as it's usually the solo or the duo players that do it. They just try to cause as much trouble and be as much of a nuisance as possible. Well, for the side of Bliss, they are going to have 1 player knocked, but the revive should come through quite comfortably onto Rain. And, well, for Killer, he's kind of just dancing around as Monty finds the kill. But I like this here from Jacob. He's going to try and clean up the kills on to the side of Colony if he can, as well. It should be a pretty standard kill for them, but this is an aggressive push here from Myth over towards where Team Bliss are.
I kind of understand why Myth have gone in this direction of the circle here in the shots and seeing a potential third party, and they know that Arena to an extent have their number from that compound. But still a bit weird for Myth. Maybe they recognize that we're probably not going to win the game. We'll just pick up as many kills as we can and see where it goes from there. We're left with our top 4 made in Thailand do end up getting eliminated. A couple of shots from Myth. Sapnix comes in, gets a knock onto Monty, confirms that kill. Boom! Down Monty goes.
Yep, so for the side of Team Bliss, I think it's all up to Rain as their solo player. Arena, though, looking fantastic, but here come DXG Imperium as the send onto the compound from DXG, and this is going to be the head-to-head engagement, and we're going to be ending this one here in the compound by the looks of it.
No way you've decided to push in on the compound like that, Division X. That is big ballsy play, but here's the thing. chicken dinner. IQ 500 wasn't there to begin with. He was in that backline, confirmed the squad wipe on the team list, and now he's gotten closer. He's in the center of the circle. The blanket effect on the E Arena is going down strong for Division X. This is potentially going to be their second chicken dinner of the tournament and the first since the very first match of this finals.
Yeah, this is huge here, but one thing I'm liking though is it's going to be Man left alive from the future. Look at how far out he is, trying to lurk as the third person, and if a few knocks go away, there's a huge potential here for Man to try and clean up shop here and find some smart kills. He has to let E Arena and DXG do the damage to each other though. He can't try and engage when there's still 4 or 5 players alive in this lobby.
He could get IQ 500. I think IQ 500 is far enough away from his team that he could pick off that solo kill, but of course, the second those shots are made, E Arena are even going to be a little bit aware as Lyrics is going to get dropped. Deep the con comes in strong.
Yeah, and just like that, KM9's going to fall as well, and well, it's all falling apart for the side of E Arena as it's up to Sapnix to try and do a little bit of damage, but well, Man's there to drop IQ 500. These kills are going to be very much confirmed from Gakhan. Well, it's a 3 versus 1 versus 1 here.
Yeah, Man, I like this. I like this.
This is what we needed to see.
Yeah, Man is doing exactly what he needed to do, John. He came in from behind, has gotten the knock onto IQ 500, gotten the kill. Now Sapnix, he's on his own. He's going to find a knock. This is beautiful, but he's left with 3 health. Confirm the kill. Prone down. Get a first aid. You're on your own. This is a 1v1v1.
This is huge. This is absolutely huge here. No matter who wins this is going to shake up the leaderboards and make the live standings very interesting going into tomorrow's game for sure. Sapnix versus Man versus the remaining player from DXG, but DXG got the revive through. That's huge for them, and if you're Sapnix...
No!
Oh, Sapnix has beamed him off of the boxes. How has Sapnix turned and snapped onto that? That nade probably cleans him up though, to be fair. It doesn't. The crates keep him alive, and well for DXG. But look at Man. Man's in a great spot. He's got the. This is how has Man stayed alive for this long? This is brilliant for him.
This could be the chicken dinner that sends from the future into the top of the standings. It could also be the chicken dinner that sends the Arena into the top 3, possibly first place overall. And Sapnix, he wants it. He wants control of it. I think he heard that Neil T got into a vehicle and sent it out of the warehouse into the circle. So technically, Sapnix is in an isolated 1v1 of the warehouse.
Yeah, we're seeing 2 sets of 1v1s here. It's going to be Neil T and Man versus Sapnix and Logfee on the other side. So 2 huge 1v1s that are about to take place here for the sides of E Arena, DXG, and from the future. If you're DXG, you're saying you probably should have stayed in a 2 versus 1 there somewhere and isolate a lone player and try and play the trade on the gunfight. But, well, for Sapnix, if he somehow pulls this off, how he stayed alive for this long, and even Man as well, this is so intense here, Imperium, as the winner of this game will most likely go towards the top of the standings. I mean, I know DXG probably won't, but they'll probably jump straight up into the likes of a 3rd or 4th spot as well.
And Sapnix knows he can't really go in the direction of where Man is. He can't really cross the other side of the wall. And that's part of why Neil T sent in the vehicle, to provide the off angle for his teammate.
I think this is going to come down to... Oh, there we go. The nade. The nade from Man. The nade at his feet. Doesn't land, though. Huge nade from Man. He has got one nade left. I think if Man can land one of these nades on to Neil T, got the mollies to work with as well. Yeah, I missed that, as he's got to try and isolate one of these players and win the 1v1 as soon as possible.
Another smoke being thrown out by Sapnix. He's trying to edge closer and closer to the vehicle. But here's the thing. Smokes are a big indication of where a player is. So if that nade, if that double molly from Man connects onto Sapnix, we could see E Arena go out.
Yeah, it's still, though, playing behind those smokes. And half time of that smoke left for I like, man. He's been so patient here, though, man. Man has been so patient. Surely, if you're Sapniks, you know man is in this area, and you can't afford to play a 2 versus 1. You have to just try and keep. It's that thing we talk about, that telepathic understanding of Sapniks and man saying, "Look, let's try and get this down to a 1v1. Then we can worry about each other later on." But I think if you're one of these two players, you're gonna probably end up fighting each other sooner rather than later, and well, this is going to come down to a little bit of time in here as to who finds the first angles between these three teams.
Slowly but surely, the shots are being heard. Man is waiting, calm, patient, looking for Sapniks.
Sapniks finds him though. And well, here you go. It's the 2 versus 1.
What?
It's the 1 versus 1. That's what is Neil doing. Sapniks, he knows where he is. He's got the zone holding him though. 7 HP at lock feet. Finds the kill. And for a second, my heart was in my mouth for DXG. But they clutch up. Look at the hype in the background. Just pure passion and emotion from this side as they find their second chicken dinner of the event. And finally, after being our game number 1 and match number 1 winners, we see a little bit of fight back from the squad of Division X.
Oh my god, the last match of yesterday was a clean 4v4. The last match of today, 2v1v1 up until the very final circle. And there was a lot of risk on how Division X played those final moments, right? And I was like, why are you in a vehicle like that? But because man had been taken out by Sapniks, Division X knew that it was 2v1, right?
Yeah.
So they could afford to play that sacrificial lamb situation where you send the vehicle in, even if that person in the vehicle dies or gets knocked, that vehicle is much deeper to the very center of the circle. Therefore, that second player can push in, grab cover, and with the blue zone closing in, it was so hard for Sapniks to do anything with that. You saw him go from like, I think 80 health to 7 in a matter of like a split second because of that phase 9 blue zone. A lot of risks from Division X, but a deserved chicken dinner, because here's the thing. What I absolutely loved with Division X is that they took the risks. They crashed in onto E-Arena's compound and they were like, look, we ride and die on this and we'll grab the win if we do. If we don't, at least you know we tried our best.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta say huge props to Division X. You mentioned they played that sort of sacrificial lamb to perfection, as it allowed Neil T to obviously be knocked and the trade come through. But yeah, this here was the push from DK. It was the solo push from Saichu. Does fall, unfortunately. But I think the story of this game was E-Arena had some great positioning for a long time, but it come down to the aggression from DXG, right, of Division X game, and for some reason they decided to full send it towards and crash towards the compound. This here, though, is a beautiful 3K from Clouds.
Oh, Clouds. Disgusting. Like, actually disgusting. So quick, so straight to the point. Just like, peek shoot, peek shoot, peek shoot. Just that precision play that we love to see from these competitive players was on point. And then we saw that kind of coordinated push from Killa and then Calves later on to take down Bad Boys Alliance. You know, Colony to an extent did deserve that win. But it was what it was when it came to the circle shits and they got third party by Made in Thailand. I'm still trying to think kind of why they went in that direction, because also if you think about it, that was in the quicker part of the circle. So even though technically they were going closer to E-Arena, being on the slower side of the circle meant that they could afford to wait a little bit longer to push into the edge of the circle. I'm not saying it would have worked, but I think it was the worst call that Made in Thailand made. I thought it was the worst of the two decisions.
Yeah, but the final decision to split in that 2 versus 1, of course, did end up paying dividend. As you can see here, Sapniks tries to do the best he can,
good.
Finds one, but I mean, it was always going to come down to Imperium, whether or not Sapniks and Man decided to engage and take a fight between each other, or try and play it out in a 2 versus 2. Sapniks finds the kill. I mean, although he gets the kill out on to Neil, as soon as that blue starts to move in. I think unless you're going to hit a ridiculous shot, he tries to, doesn't find the peak onto Logfee. But there you go. We have a change in the leaderboard for the first time today, Imperium, and it's from the future who take top spot.
Yeah, from the future. Deserved due to Man doing everything he could to get himself a couple of extra kills. The IQ 500 kill from the back end helped kind of his team get into that first place overall. But sharing the chicken dinner 3-piece with Bliss is important, so there's only 1 point dividing those two teams. E-Arena with chicken dinner today puts them in third on 78 kills. So one chicken dinner tomorrow compared to the top two would put E-Arena up into the top spot. Xiaoji Dui still kind of laying a little bit lower in fourth. Of course, you got to point out the fact that the winners of that previous game, Division X Gaming, they came into this 9th place, by the way, and they've jumped up off the back of that chicken dinner.
Yeah, I think you made a great point as well about E-Arena and SGD as well. Going into tomorrow, it's going to be absolutely crazy to see. We've only got 8 more games here at the AOC Masters. We're in for an absolute treat. So make sure you guys are back here at the same time tomorrow, because me and Imperial will be back here tomorrow for some more AOC Masters 2021.